Yeah, I don't really know what goes on anime TikTok. I don't know if they have
like
the
an
same
AI
kind
voice
of
say,
like.
"This grown adult compared Kendrick Lamar and Drake to High School Chainsaw Man."
Should he be reading teenage manga at his age?
Based on his profile, it says he's 33 years old.
It's fucking right, I am. That's all right. 34 coming soon. I will be turning.
Let's go.
I will be turning 34 in Japan, dude. Oh, public safety.
Omedeto, Otanjobi, Omedeto gozaimasu.
Wow. Domario gozaimasu. I will be broadcasting to you from the Tokyo Detention Center.
Tokyo branch?
Yeah, the Tokyo branch for public safety. They're calling me up. They're shutting down the U.S. Midwest version. I said, you know what? Pack it up, kid. No one likes this shit. We're pulling you in. We're gonna make you mop the floors.
Well, all our agents are dead because of the recent events, so we should come back.
Yeah, we're literally running completely out of people. Speaking of which, let's get into today's episode. I'm excited for this one. Today's episode of the Public Safety Special Broadcast. We are here with episode 29 of the Public Safety Special Broadcast. Let's get into it. Before we do, let's introduce ourselves. I am, of course, your host, Secret Doves, age 33, and my contract is with the Vortefel. I like my returning guests here to give their name, age, and devil contract as is tradition.
Hello. I am Jake. I am 26 years old, and I am contracted with the Duncan Messi Devil because
Duncan
Messi. I've been thinking. Do you ever see the meme where it's Laios holding up like a little chill chuck? It's just like Duncan Messi.
You mean chuckle fuck?
Yeah, exactly.
In the Dungeon Meshi meme space, but
I've just been sitting here all day working on my Dungeon Meshi.
You've just been deep diving into Dungeon Meshi memes. Look forward to that, dude. Coming soon to a YouTube timeline near you. There you go. And Fizzy, go ahead.
Hey, I'm Fizzy Breezy. I'm from Twitter. Yeah, I'm from Twitter. Yes. I'm 27 years old, and I'm contracted with the Animation Devil, because right now I'm working on an animation project. Surprisingly enough, animation part, easy. Now I just do a bunch of still drawings, which is killing me. So many drawings that don't move.
Yes. You think it's going to be, the stuff that moves, you actually have to draw kind of simple, so it's not that bad to draw.
Yeah.
And then you gotta draw the stuff that doesn't move, and you're like, oh shit, this has to look good. Fuck me!
I was using a different brush for the animation part, and I was like, I don't like how this brush looks on a still image.
Yep. Now you know the true suffering.
Y'all see the tweet about like just where the internet was just shitting itself over that still frame from Kaiju number 8.
Which still? Oh, that one.
The one where her face
like 6 times.
There's like a still frame where I forget the character's name. Is it Shinomiya? Whatever her name is.
Twin tail go.
There's like a still frame where like she just looks fucking scuffed, and someone took that frame and they were like, "Wow, this anime really sucks." But it was like a between frame.
Right. It's like
I mean, it sucks, right, all-time low, the bars in hell.
I mean, that I feel like that happens. I mean, I feel like that happens with literally every anime, dude. Someone will fucking, frame by frame scrub for something that looks weird and be like, "What the hell?
I
Why
mean,
do
it's
people
really
like
bad in
this?"
this current ecosystem because Twitter is just farming engagement over and over and over again. It's so fucking
Oh
tiring.
my god, dude!
Look
It's
between
fucking
Y and O on your keyboard. No, you guys know the meme where people kept posting?
yes,
Dear
I know.
God.
I
Okay,
know. I was
Zoomer. I know
checking
you're
it.
1 year younger than me, but still, okay, Zoomer.
That's a JJK
I
one, by
guess,
the
yeah,
way.
that's true. That is the key difference is 26 to 27 is boomer or not boomer, millennial and Zoomer.
Well, I was looking at something, so apparently, like, I am the cutoff point. I'm like the latest Zoom, yeah, the earliest Zoomer. I'm the first Zoomer.
Oh yeah,
You're
okay. I guess
Zoomer. This is all
Yeah.
your fault. You did this.
Everything wrong with this generation is because of me.
Yep, you
Yeah.
started it. You kicked it off. The millennials handed the torch. Take it.
Maybe I did grow up in third world country though, so it's like a little bit, couple years far like removed from current pop culture.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about that, but let's shift from pop culture in general to pop culture in specific. Let's talk about fucking Chainsaw Man. We're talking about episode 160, chapter 163 of Chainsaw Man. This has been the discourse around this has been quite controversial. Tatsuki Fujimoto is being weird, dude. I want to talk about this a lot. There was. Well, let me get your my guest start things off. Let me get your overall reaction to the chapter. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Are you fucking pissed off? Is the manga ruined? Are we cooked? Is he cooking?
I mean,
What's going on?
I think I really like these past few chapters compared to like as a weekly experience. I like it more than the one for the Denji arc. I think the Denji arc is really good, but like as a weekly read, it was kind of
yes.
I completely agree with that.
There were moments, especially because it got bi-weekly for a while. It got bi-weekly in like a transitional part of the story. It was like he waited 2 weeks and he was just moving characters around to like get things going, and you were like, oh my god, I waited 2 weeks for this. Nothing would happen, dude.
Yeah. And I do enjoy this current arc where it's like it's all these pieces that we had in the beginning and they're finally moving somewhere. And you're like, interesting. We're finally seeing where the story is trying to go.
Yeah.
I said it earlier, like a few weeks ago when I was on. The past few chapters have definitely been like my favorite few chapter runs since early part 2. I think I love the wackiness. I love the silliness. The one thing so you just mentioned it now, and I saw your tweet about it earlier in the week as well. I did not, maybe because I like forcefully shut myself off from any discourse surrounding anything, but I didn't realize that this chapter was so controversial, or just the past few chapters in general have been so controversial. I thought, because I obviously I liked it, and like I'm glad to hear that Fizzy likes it as well.
Jake is fucking loving this shit, dude. Every chapter
it.
comes out, I'm like, dude, Jake is fucking eating so good. He's having so much
I think I can pull devil's advocate though. I can pull devil's advocate later, but go on.
Well, I will say I definitely understand the frustrations people have, because my initial reaction to these chapters has all been like, what the fuck, dude? It's so, oh my god, this fucking guy, dude. It's extremely aggressive. Like, I would say, people have been asking for like, we need the part 1 energy back, but really, I mean, this is
definitely part 1 energy right now.
Yeah.
This is that energy, This is that real deal Chainsaw Man pacing. We are joking. We're not. It's not too serious yet. We're in that goofball phase. We had the really long ultra depression pain arc of Denji, and Fujimoto's like, he always does that thing where if you're in the depths of hell where he likes to take you, he'll give you some jokes, he'll lighten the mood a little bit. He'll fucking and it's so weird because this time it's really weird because in part one, I felt like the jokes were always sort of like on the side of the plot. You know what I mean? Like, Kobeni's car gets destroyed. It's not like that is like,
the plot. It's not the
central event of the story. You're like, oh no, Kobeni's car. That was the key we needed to defeat the monsters,
Actually, it did defeat a guy, though.
It did. They took out one of the American brothers, Got him.
Yeah. American L.
Classic American L. American gets hit by a car and dies. Never. No one is surprised. But in this last arc, I think this is what has really gotten people. We are joking about like stuff that is very big part of the story.
I'm fine with it because I believe in Fujimoto, but I think this chapter has basically been testing people's like faith in him, because it's like you have characters like Quan Chi, you have like elements like public safety, and they're basically kind of jokes rather than actual actors.
Yeah.
And I think I trust in his ability to do like compelling commentary, so I'm fine with it. But like I do understand where it's like the story has been a bit weird for a while now, so it's like
Well, I will say in defense of compelling commentary. So with this most, or in defense of Fujimoto when it comes to compelling commentary, with this most recent chapter, and if I'm hearing correctly, maybe people are upset the direction of serious things are happening, but it's being handled in almost an unserious way. But I will say, I think he's doing both at the same time really, really well, especially with this most recent chapter. Because I know a lot of people are focused on the fact that Denji got kicked in the balls twice, which is really funny. But at the beginning of the chapter, it's the first few pages is this meme of Haruka Isayumi watching TV, and he thinks that they're going to be talking about the current events and who's responsible for it, and he's racked with guilt. This is something that's eating him alive on the inside, tearing him apart, and then it turns out it's just some love scandal, and it's just like. And so it's this hilarious joke coupled with this commentary of how this teenage boy feels, thinking that he's responsible for the end of the world.
There's also a depth to it where he's like disappointed that it's not about him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because he's like right with guilt that it's like, oh, I'm finally shaping society in a way that I don't intend, but I am. But then he looks at the news and is like, oh, I'm not actually changing anything in society. I'm disappointed now, even though I was like racked with guilt.
It highlights that like these characters are aware, at least Haruka is aware of this like goofy ass like Family Guy universe they live in, where like he's like, why the fuck is no one talking about this? Like, this feels like a dream.
Well,
I think it's also like just captures what teenagers feel like right now, like especially with the news. It's like, it's been clown shoes. You're trying to do stuff and like nobody pays attention.
Yes. Yeah. For sure. I mean, here's the thing about it. It's like we went all the way into the Devil Detention Center and everyone was like, OMG, we're gonna get some devils. We're gonna get like a whole thing of like them. This is gonna be a big deal arc. I thought it was gonna be a big deal arc.
I was really hoping for a containment breach.
I was.
Oh, like Cochlea and Tokyo Ghoul.
Yeah, I was hoping like fucking shit would pop up and Fami would do her big thing, but even if that was her plan, I guess it got ruined. Asa fucking face planted early on, and they had to scrap. If she had some big deal devil to bust out, she had to scrap the plan. I think Gilly was useless, so that's great.
Yeah, Fami, as usual, not being able to do anything. Like, she plans, and fails again.
Yeah.
Like, this is a common trend with her. Everything that she plans is like doesn't work out. And somebody else has to take up the slack. And this
sounds like me,
in this case, it's Asa.
I mean, Asa did kind of carry, although in the end, Denji himself is the one who stopped the assault with Quan Chi recognizing him. Yeah, I mean, and I think a part of it is just a frustration with another like skipped period. Like, I will say the time skips, I don't really have an issue. Some people sometimes criticize them as like, we're missing stuff that we could have seen. And it's like, that's kind of a weird way to analyze a story, because stuff that isn't in the story doesn't exist. Like, that's not what the story is about.
Well,
so
honestly,
you know,
the most egregious Chainsaw Man time skip, and I say this like every other episode, was the fucking one at the end of part 1 where they go from the safe room to the final battle. And so with that existing and having people complain about going from the detention center to the apartment,
that threw a lot of people off when that came out. It was like, we're in the safe room. How are we gonna beat Makima? Oh, we're here. We're fighting Makima right now.
Yeah. It was like literally set up as like, what are they gonna do? And you just skip all the what are they gonna do.
Fujimoto doesn't give a fuck about showing it like build up.
Well, there's the safe room chapter, which is fucking sick because it has like the "he just like me for real" meme, and then like after that chapter is like announcement from Shonen Jump. There's 3 more chapters left, and I remember seeing that. I'm like,
how?
Yeah, how?
What do you mean?
Literally, how, dude? What do you mean? They were great 3 chapters, by the way.
They were fantastic.
They were amazing.
So
I stopped reading when the assassination arc was going on, and then I heard 3 chapters left. Let's go.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. I mean, I do remember around the end of part 1, people were actually pretty worried that he was gonna scuff the end. You know what I mean? Because shit was weird. Like, a bunch of weird ass shit had happened. There were some great like chapters, like illustrations in there, but you really did not understand what was happening.
When the last 3 chapters were coming out, I remember a conversation I had with my brother, because I got my brother to read Chainsaw Man because he got me to read Tokyo Ghoul when I was younger, and I loved Tokyo Ghoul. We both loved it. And Chainsaw Man, you know, Fujimoto is a big Ishida Sensei fan, and it was, we were talking about it, and my brother was like, wouldn't it be funny if, just like Sui Ishida, Fujimoto also tanks the end of his manga?
No, dude. Yeah, Tokyo Ghoul. I actually liked the ending of Tokyo Ghoul, the ultimate ending of Tokyo Ghoul, but I felt like
the last chapter of Tokyo Ghoul, like that long ass like 40-page chapter, where it's like, this is where everyone is now. That was a good chapter. I liked that because it just, you know, he's like, here's the end, whatever. But the chapters, like the 20 chapters leading up to it, were like super rushed.
Yeah, it was
Actually, I had a similar feeling to Chainsaw. Sorry, I keep interrupting you, but I had the same exact feeling when it was announced that Tokyo Ghoul had 3 chapters left, and it was because it was, he had just fought Nimura Fruta, and it was like, okay, now there's 3 chapters left, and it was like, what about the dragon?
What about all the shit left in the story? What's going on?
Tokyo Ghoul? I haven't read or watched. It's like, there's a dragon? Okay.
Yeah. I like Tokyo Ghoul. You should check it out. It wasn't it was not the peak for me. I have a lot of complaints about it, but overall I enjoyed it. Definitely give it a read if you haven't, especially the first part. It's just fucking gas. Dude, I mean, Chosen X is fucking gas. Sui Ishida is absolutely cooking insane on that one. Just give the boy some time, and he will produce the most delicious meals you will ever eat. So good. But Fujimoto is not giving any time. He's doing the thing. He's been very, very aggressive with jumping around on the story. You know what I mean? Like, just fucking hopping between Asamitaka plot points. You know, figure it out, guys. Damn. Fuck you, dude. I want to see it, dude. I want to see it.
Yeah, I think a part of why people are frustrated with it as well is like, it doesn't really follow like a, I guess, dramatic curve in terms of like both narrative and action. It's just like things happen, basically. So they expect a good payoff or punchline, and then they don't get it, and you're like, I build up all my emotions for nothing. That kind of stuff.
Yes. There's a lot of I don't know if I would say he's defying expectations. He's just not working within story expectations. I mean, he's talked about it himself in terms of being inspired by Korean cinema. I think it was his interviewers with the Vagabond author, where he talked about it.
King Inoue.
Yeah, yes. They had an interview together. I think he talked about it because Inoue was mentioning how he really liked in Fire Punch. It's like pretty much you really cannot predict what is going to happen in Fire Punch. Like shit just fucking happens in that manga, and you're like, what?
Some
more shit happens.
As well.
Yeah. Especially the last part of Fire Punch. I don't think we're going towards that. I think things kind of fell apart with the story of Fire Punch, and he's being much more meticulous in part 2. But he's definitely like Chainsaw Man Part 1 was sort of him taking on the Weekly Shonen Jump story, right? Like he was running in Weekly Shonen Jump. He was probably getting talks from the editors like, your story has to make sense, dude. You're in Weekly Shonen Jump. Lin was probably talking him down like, you can't go that crazy, man. Like, you need a fucking battle and shit.
I was actually thinking about... sorry, go on.
Oh, no. Didn't his editor try to talk him down from having Denji eat Makima? He was like, if you don't let me put this in my manga, I will put this on Twitter.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, basically that was happening.
Wow.
Yeah, I was thinking though, like in context of Dungeon Meshi, because like I was like looking at how people react to it, and it's just like, it's the difference between like seinen and shonen storytelling, and it's like there's a lot in Dungeon Meshi especially is like there's a lot of things where like the author just expects the reader to pick up on when you're reading it.
Yeah.
And Fujimoto does the same thing for shonen, which is a bit more rare because like thinking back about shonen, they just basically scream the idea of the manga at you most of the time because they need to make sure you pick up on it.
Right. And
fine. I like it, but you know, it's a different way. Fujimoto's doing his own thing.
Yes. Now that he's out of the weekly magazine, he's not doing a weekly schedule, and he's not doing... I don't know what he's doing. I'm not going to lie. I do not understand the arc of this story because he's doing the thing. Like, he's, you know, having the big final reveals happen 60% of the way through the story. And you're like, well, shit. So what's the rest of this shit going to be about? Literally, I saw people talking on the timeline, posting on Reddit, like, is the story about to end? And I'm like, no, guys, no.
It doesn't feel anywhere near any kind of ending. I mean, Fujimoto could announce there's 3 chapters left.
I feel
like,
I feel like this, to me, how I feel about this is feels like it's around the time of the assassination arc. Like, it just feels like the story's in that period right now.
If you go chapter number wise, right, from 98 to here, we're around 65 chapters in. So it is, in fact, around that.
They were in hell at that moment in part 1, right?
Yeah.
In that moment, like a lot of ideas around part 1 hasn't been revealed yet. Well, not revealed, but like completely brought to the foreground.
Right. In around that period, sort of like he was basically changing what the manga was about in a way. The first 2 parts of part 1 are sort of that the start of a Weekly Shonen Jump serial, right? It could launch, it could die. It's just kind of messing around, seeing what happens. And then the Reize arc is sort of, him doing a big move, him doing a big thing. Now that he's
chart-topping arc.
Yeah, sort of like now he knows that his serialization is going to keep going. People liked the first few volumes. They're selling decent enough to keep going, although the numbers were not that high at the very beginning. There's good enough to keep going, and so he does the Reize arc as like, okay, now I can just go.
Let's do Katana Man better.
Yeah, now I can do a whole arc. and be confident that I can finish the arc from front to back. I can do it front to back, and it will all run, and everyone will read it. And then International Assassins, he actually starts building out like the broader story, and he's like, okay, now let me do what Chainsaw Man is. So it's about the time he starts changing the story around. We're kind of getting the same thing. He hasn't been. I really do think we're going to get around the same length of chapters in part 2. People have been saying it's going to be longer, it's going to be shorter, especially with the way he's jumping, like he's skipping over stuff that he could put in. You know what I mean? You could put in a chapter on the side of Asa and Yoru being badass and going on TV and, you know, hit the thematic notes that you want to hit with it, and it would be fine. But he's not doing that. Like, he's like, I don't need to do that. I have things I want to do here, and we're gonna go to that. Like, I have like a schedule, sort of. Yeah. I have an outline of how many chapters I want this section to be, and I'm gonna hit that, and then we're going to the next section, and I'm just gonna move the story around in order to like fit in this outline. I'm starting to see it. I'm seeing it. We're picking it up now.
It's like I'm seeing that basically if you look at the beginning of part 2, like people find that it's quite slower because they're trying to introduce a new character and everything. But then you look at Denji's section, both Asa's and Denji's introduction in part 2 is slower. Yeah. And then now he's finally ramping it up. It's like it feels like they're both supposed to be like, you know, accompaniments of like reintroducing a character and introducing a character and just letting it like people feel out the situation with these characters and get to know them again before actually going with the plot points, basically.
Yes. Okay. I asked people. I was trying to recruit people for the podcast to get someone to come on.
You were looking for haters.
I was looking for haters. Instead of wanting to come on the pod, everyone just like posted their complaints in the comments. So I did want to talk about some of them. I think the biggest one to me is that someone said this is like them getting out of the facility kind of doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? Like it's okay, but we're getting to the point with some of these jumps around where like he's actually putting like big ass plot holes in the story, which is very aggressive, you know, like I mean,
I would say they're plot holes, but it's definitely a leap of logic. Yeah, you like basically have to like suspend your disbelief a lot.
I mean, you know, they were in like this super secure public safety facility, and they had run down into like a basement level as established by the story. And then they were in the basement level, and then what? They just left? Like they just walked out.
The best that they could muster to stop them in the first place was Quan Chi. And maybe you could call it an ass pull that, you know, but I don't think it's an ass pull because it's just, you know, these are character like relations that are all starting to like link up again. But you know, they sent Quan Chi was the best that they had available to stop them. And who knows if they fought, probably Quan Chi would have won. But Quan Chi stopped and said, okay, you guys can kill me. I'll come back to life. Just say you defeated me and run out. I feel like anything that they could have possibly thrown at them after that could have easily been dealt with by either Yoru or Samurai Sword.
Yeah, you know, it's skipping Yoru doing some cool stuff. This fucking guy, he's just
you can't get a win.
He's dangling the little treats over your head. He's like, yeah, you want to see Yoru doing cool stuff, you know? Here's the 606 sword. Look at how badass this is. This is going to be dope. And you're like, yes. And he's like,
yeah, I think that's part of the frustration as well. Is because like, Yoru doesn't really get as like many action scenes as like Denji had in part 1, and everyone wants Yoru Asa action scenes right now.
Oh my
It's
god.
missing.
I'm gonna
They got
fucking
like
I'm gonna tie him to the railroad tracks, dude. I'm done with this guy. Where is Ugh! Give me your access right the fuck now. Give it to me now. Okay. Yeah. I like you said, Jake, there's a logic to it. I think the power scaling makes sense since from public safety's
Power
perspective.
scalers,
Their number one tool that they've been relying on, Quan Chi, has turned on them, which we already saw her do in when she rescued Denji. You know, what was Quan Chi thinking about when back on the roof? Well, now we know. You know, she was there. Yeah, she was fucking helping out Denji as per her old friend's advice and request, probably. So
I will say, just to add a little bit to the previous criticism we talked about, or at least, what I had said, about how they could have left with help of Yoru and Samurai Sword, and I mean, obviously, they don't show that. We don't even know if that really happens. And I feel like one of these things, and this could just be a very dismissive argument, this is really what goes through my head when things like this happen in the Chainsaw Man universe, is that it's hard to apply our logic to the Chainsaw Man universe, or to a universe where logic doesn't really mean anything. Logic doesn't, there isn't all that much rhyme or reason as to why anything happens in Chainsaw Man.
it's true.
Sure, you could draw like a line, like obviously, Quan Chi's the strongest thing that they could have thrown at them, and then they fought their way out. But at the same time, it's almost like what you said. Fujimoto is cutting out parts of the story that they could be implied, but he just doesn't deem them important enough to draw.
Yeah,
Chapter.
I would say it's more like definitely just he doesn't see it that it's important. It's like we know that these characters can fight, and I don't really there's no reason for me to show them to fight, even though like a viewer would want to see it. It's like it doesn't serve a purpose to my story, so I'm not gonna put it in.
It's just like, I mean, he's like, make no mistakes about it. Fujimoto is a lazy king. This guy does not draw shit that he doesn't feel like drawing. This guy, even he's done it even with the art style. Like he's like, I'm done with all this hatching. Like I'm not even doing that anymore. Like I don't want to do that. What's the point of it?
I'm not that guy anymore.
Fuck it. Like, I mean, it's fair, dude. Hatching like that is fucking brutal, especially if you're trying to do it even on like a monthly schedule. I mean, monthly schedule hatching like that shit basically killed Mira, right? So, I can't really be like, no, guy, destroy your life for the details of
my entertainment, please.
Yeah. I need these pages hatched. Yes, they may look good, but I need them to look even better so that I can flex on Twitter the art style that I didn't draw. You know what I mean? That's what I need, brother. I need this on my desk by Tuesday.
I need to put it on those threads where, like, moments where mangaka goes ham.
Yeah, dude. Even though we've had, like, I don't know, a ton of those in part 2, dude. The Falling Arc was absolutely cracked. Holy shit.
I was on Reddit the other day, and which that never precedes a good story. But I was on Reddit the other day,
man,
and
that's rough.
There was someone had a comparison where they took Denji and Aki kicking Katana Man in the nuts, and then Katana Man kicking Denji in the nuts, and they're comparing, and they're like, it's what comes around goes around, comes around, whatnot. And I was looking at the comments and stuff like that, and a lot of people pointed out that one of like the big differences in art style from earlier Chainsaw Man and now is that Fujimoto uses thicker lines now to draw things. And I never even noticed that, because I was like, I feel like the art, at least in the most recent chapters, has looked better than a lot of the art in the Denji arc. But I when I looked at it, because obviously like early part 2 and part 1 of Chainsaw Man, there was I feel like the art was decently better. But I was looking at it, and they do have a point. I didn't even notice this. I mean, obviously, I know Fizzy, because you are an artist. This is probably something you've picked up on.
Yeah.
Long
It's been brought up
ago.
before the last time I was on. I think especially like Spaghetti or Lego or someone, one of those guys are basically pointing out is like, yeah, the brush sensitivity is going way up.
Yeah, I didn't even notice it. I was looking, I was like, yeah, the outlines are a lot thicker. And also, like, apparently, like, maybe he doesn't shade as much as he used to. But I thought there was some pretty good shading in the most recent chapter. But every time I come on, I always want to talk about the art issues.
It's part of the one of the interviews he said is it's just he couldn't really spend time on shading anymore. He's like, one of the things he's upset about as a mangaka right now, that he can't shade anymore because he just doesn't fit his schedule.
Yeah.
Dude needs more assistance.
I mean, I made a big whole thread about the assistant shortage issue, which is basically just
Oh, that's a thing? I didn't even see that. Do you want to like briefly go over it for those who aren't aware?
So this has been a long-standing issue pretty much since like the 2010s. Because the whole of Japanese society, this goes way much bigger. Like labor shortages in Japanese society go much bigger than the fucking manga industry alone. But since 2010, the Japanese salaries have been stagnant, and the Japanese yen has not been doing good either. Internally, domestically, there's pretty bad inflation, and there was like steady inflation that was not good. And the government was taking on a lot of debt to try and alleviate that, and that really backfired during COVID. So now inflation in Japan has gotten quite bad, but salaries are still not budging, especially like really big companies like Shueisha are not really budging much, even though basically people have gotten like their salaries were stagnant over a period of inflation, which is always bad, and now it's even worse. So like everyone is just getting rolled in terms of like the amount.
I have a quick clarification question. So does that mean like is Shueisha responsible for the hiring of assistants for mangaka, or
no? So,
I didn't know if it was like the mangaka bankrolls it themselves, or
the mangaka bankrolls it themselves, but the thing would be that Shueisha isn't increasing the manuscript fees, and so if prices are going up across the board, you're getting the same amount of money, you definitely can't afford to pay your assistants more, right? You probably can't. You might be able to afford like 2 less assistants now, just based on your own
manuscript as well, right?
Yes.
So like it's not a money issue for Chainsaw Man, but like if you have like a schedule that's like monthly or bi-weekly, then you're only getting paid for how many pages you make.
Right. Which a lot of people don't know. Obviously, I mean, Fujimoto, he has like merch and all these other licensing rights at this point.
Yeah.
But manga, like manga sales, like volume sales, do mangaka? I mean, I'm certain they must get a certain percentage of it, but is it just not a lot?
A small residuals. Think of like Spotify residuals.
Think of music
industry residuals. I mean, it's every creative industry is like that. Like, think of that kind of percentages on this stuff. It's not good. The majority of mangaka's income is still, to this day, manuscript fees. And if you're a famous mangaka, you could charge more, because it is sort of like a free contract. Like if
I think it's also like IP.
Said, I need this amount of money, then that's it. But it's IP. I mean,
Fujimoto on Cameo.
But I mean, most of the merch stuff happening with Chainsaw Man right now is anime merch. So those licensing deals are going to be split with MAPPA, who has
and basically he gets whatever his deal with MAPPA was.
Right. He has some residual split with Mappa, but come on, guys.
I mean, I mean that's one of the things
I
about
wonder
like
how good that contract was.
Yeah.
comparisons between like mangaka and Western comic artists. Though is like even if like the pay is really bad, like they still mostly own the IP most of the time, so that's why they
Yes,
can get better residuals when it gets popular.
right. Yes, and Fujimoto is making probably plenty of money. He's like a super successful model, but it's
He
probably
probably
not.
has the same apartment as like Fujino in Look Back.
Yeah, like a nice Tokyo apartment. But I think sometimes like only the super mega mangaka like Oda Toriyama really get like big money, and even then it's it's probably not nearly the amount that it should be, so to speak. Like Oda should be making LeBron money, given how much traction
Oh, absolutely.
I do find it funny
Isn't-
though.
across the
Go on.
world. But
Oh, sorry. Isn't the most like wealthy mangaka Rumiko Takahashi? Isn't she like,
oh,
or she's up or second most wealthy? I remember something like that.
I think Toriyama was the most wealthy.
Toriyama. Oh wow, yeah.
yeah, I mean
That would make sense too. Yeah.
Rumiko's pretty high up there though.
Yeah, I know she's rolling in it though.
Yeah, you make a lot of money if you can rocket to the top spots. And
I think one of the funniest things I saw though, it's mostly one of the stories in Bakuman, but like because of the mangaka lifestyle where like you don't go out basically, you work all the time. So by the time they finally get a break, it's like, wow, I have so much money I can spend.
yes, and but okay, the thing about it with the assistants is you have less money to hire assistants, so that makes it harder on you. But also, artists considering what job they want to do to make money, like people, skilled illustrators who want to make money. Manga assistant is the worst paying job you could probably take of all of them. It's
Yeah,
like
like on
to be
average,
actually pretty
what
good
the
at
yearly
drawing.
salary is in yen?
the hourly is 1,000 yen. I mean, you can like 1,000 yen an hour, and it's usually about depending on what manga you're working on, it can be like 10 hours a day, 6 days a week. So 60 hours a week.
That's I
1,000 yen
believe
an
that's
hour.
less than Tokyo's minimum wage. I think Tokyo's minimum wage is around 100.
Maybe. I mean, that's the posting that Lin, one of the top editors in the country, was making posts for assistance about 1,000 in an hour. It's set by the mangaka.
Yeah.
But like, if you're a young illustrator, even if you like manga, you look at a job like that, you're like, yeah, no shot. Like, I could be working for Psy Games, drawing horse girls, and making like 3 times as much as this. Like, work for some gotcha company. There's a lot of illustrator work in Japan. There's a lot of illustrated like advertising, design, all sorts of stuff. So, and even lots of young Japanese artists are getting hired by China just because the salaries are like 3 or 4 times as much. So you have like Chinese game companies, Chinese media companies scooping up these artists from Japan because it's fucking easy. They can pay so much more.
Basically, anyone who's a mangaka assistant is someone who's trying to be a mangaka.
Yeah, and the problem with that is at least this cycle where, like, I mean, one of Fujimoto's assistants just started Centuria, right?
Yeah.
That assistant is gone. And so you have these assistants that are coming to Fujimoto, going out the door and becoming, learning what they learn and, having a great time. But the question is, what's the sustainability of this cycle? Like, that's been the way the manga industry always works and finds new talent. But if they're not going to match the salaries to inflation, you're not going to be able to sustain this. And that has been the case in smaller magazines for a long time. Like I said, since 2010, it's been really, really hard for anyone who's outside of like the big publishing houses to get good amounts of assistance. But now, it seems like not even fucking Fujimoto is able to pull people. Like people need the fucking money, and there's not enough money there. So it is what it is.
To tie it back in, what you're essentially saying is that it's Prime Minister Fumio Kishida's fault that Fujimoto draws his lines too thick in Chainsaw Man.
Yes,
pretty much. You know, in some ways, ratings,
even more.
Yeah. I mean, how low can they go? He was down below. He was heading towards below 20% not too long ago. I haven't kept up with it. I love
the one where the presenters had like a analog
sliding down.
It goes down. Yeah, it was. Approval rating is so good.
Wait, it's that like the yen is at like 155 versus the dollar right now, right? It's something insane.
Getting worse too. It might be close to 200 by the time I'm there. It's going crazy, dude. Like, part of that is the dollar.
Buy figures, buy fucking plushies, buy Pokemon cards, buy
your USD and go into that economy right the fuck now. Everybody lock the fuck in. Okay, enough about Japanese economics. It's a very interesting topic, but that's not what this podcast is about. This podcast is about, although in the end, everything is Chainsaw Man. You know what I mean? Oh, yeah. The youth struggling with the corrupt government, trying to make their own way in the world. I mean, come the fuck on, dude. He just writes what he knows.
Yes, more like capitalism, socialism, man.
Oh, yep, dude.
That was bad.
Absolutely for real. This chapter, a couple points I want to hit on. Fami going ham on the spaghetti.
With
this was funny.
She's a messy spaghetti kid.
I have heard. Do you guys believe in the Fami? The hungry hippo Fami theory, where when she uses her devil power, it makes her hungry, and she has to refill with food to summon new devils.
I think that makes sense.
I do wonder why we should like a Wendigo, and like she's just always hungry and can never be satiated. But
she's just always.
I do wonder why she would keep it a secret, though. I guess because if you want to weaken her, you just don't give her any food. I guess.
I mean, maybe.
And then
she's literally the famine devil.
Yeah.
A very Fujimoto move would be like she finds it embarrassing, you know. That she gets so hungry. She's like, I don't want to it's embarrassing to be so hungry. That would be very funny. But
I do think there's the line where Arsa says, "Is she naturally skinny or something?" does point in that.
As many people pointed out to me in my post on that panel on Alice's expression there, that the nail fiend is the one saying that. Is she naturally skinny?
Oh, that's Nail. Okay, yeah. I guess that makes sense for Nail.
I fucking love Nail Fiend.
Yes, Nail Fiend is great. Every chapter they are in, everyone enjoys them more and more. One thing I want to say about this chapter overall, I know everyone was very excited for some kind of jailbreak chapter, but it is very interesting to me that this crew that got together, including Nail Fiend and Katana, is they're staying together. This is like a crew now. You know, Denji, Asa, these church guys, Katana and Nail are it's the squad, I guess. Fami, it's this is our what we're sticking with these guys.
This is a Hayakawa family from part 2.
Yeah, the gang's all here, I guess. It's kind of awesome. It's definitely not what you expected when Nail and Katana showed up back in the fucking Chainsaw Man devil moment, right? Where everyone's turning. You were like, okay, Katana's back. He's got a little bit part. Apparently not. Like this motherfucker, he's still here.
I find it interesting though that people say like Katana Man hasn't changed at all because I mean he's a man child. But something I noticed is that he's way more poetic now. Everything he says, he tries to make it like really poetic.
It's true.
It's because he wants to impress Asa Mitaka. He's a big fan. He pre-ordered her poetry collection, and he just wants to make a good impression.
Yeah, I just want to like point out like when he like mentioned the balls thing, is like I returned both your balls to right where they belong in your ball sack, so I can ring the gong of revenge with my own foot. It's like,
yes, I love her.
Beautiful line.
Yeah, I love it. Shout out to Amanda Haley on the translation for that one, dude. Wonderful capturing of the lyrical nature of his character. Now, I like that characterization point a lot. He's into poetry. He got into Asa's poetry, and he's writing his own poetry.
He's making fun of us. He's making fun of us like old heads reading teenage manga. He's like reading teenage poetry.
Kind of. A little bit. I see you, bro. Yeah. Fine, dude. You just make fun of all your fans, dude.
I also like that he takes long baths.
Yeah, that's me for real.
He's just a selfish guy. He's just a selfish motherfucker, dude. You got people waiting to take a bath. You've got a girl with one arm and your I don't know, partner, boyfriend, devil thing. Sitting and waiting, and you're just taking your sweet time. Okay, guys. All right, sure. Classic Katana Man. Speaking of classic Katana Man,
he was trying to make a dramatic entrance, where it's like he's just waiting in the tub, waiting for Denji to say something. He heard it, immediately got dressed. It's like, yes!
It's like, he's awake. Time to destroy his balls. And speaking of classic Chainsaw Katana Man, Jake, you called it. You absolutely fucking called it.
Fujimoto's just a big fan, honestly.
Yeah, he's locked it. We know you're on there, dude. You are one of our subscribers who has the don't notify when subscribed things on. You've got your low-key burner YouTube account that you use to watch, like, I don't know, fucking like fish dissection videos or some shit. We know you're out there, Fujimoto. You've got the fucking auto translation going. You see.
Please don't put more of us in your manga.
I actually
I love it, dude.
I have like such a horrible memory. So when that chapter dropped, the first thing I thought was like, did I call that? And so I combed back through the ones that I've been on, and I had to like comb through the one. It was the one with it was Yumi and RJ Doves, and I like combed through the video till I got to the point. Meticulously, I turned on OBS, screen captured it, edited it into the meme that I made. Made the subtitles and everything, because I was like, I actually I didn't know if I said it or not at first. I was like, so one of us said it, and I went back there, got it, posted the meme because I'm a filthy clout chaser.
It's great,
but it's actually like it's just so fucking funny how when Fujimoto is like silly and like he's like tapping into his like silliness. And just like the inherent wackiness of Chainsaw Man, it actually isn't all that hard to see where things are going. Especially like because this confirmed it for me, because the other silly one that I had was like when Asa was talking about the starfish in the aquarium. I made a video where it's like they're gonna eat the starfish, and then they ate the starfish, and it's just like when he's tapped in. People like to think that Chainsaw Man is very unpredictable, which it is, but when he's tapping into the silliness, after the Kobeni hamburger chapter, it's, I see where he's going with this.
I mean, always, he never drops the idea that he has for the story. That's the thing. It's like, whenever people are like, oh, he's lost the plot, I'm like, you're paying too much attention to the plot. You know what I mean? Like, this guy, yes, he will lose the plot. He does not really kind of like care about the plot. He's not like I don't know. He sort of has a kind of blasé attitude about like story details and
he's
like
more of a dramatic guy.
And yeah, for him it's about the themes. It's about tying things together. Denji being chopped up into pieces and then coming back to life as Chainsaw Man. I mean, it's absolutely fucking classic chapter 1 type shit. Like, oh, we're going all the way back. Bam. And
he pays also a lot of attention to characterization.
yes. We've had
like Asa in the most recent chapter.
Okay, I will say we've had this arc. Everyone's been like, it's time for Asa and Denji arc. This is the Asa and Denji moment. You know, this is the Asa Den is finally real. You know, and y'all have been scrounging for table scraps. Meanwhile, Haruka Nation is winning. This has been the Haruka arc. You know what I mean? Like, after being just the side character who somehow ends up as like the central target of public safety's assault, you know? We didn't know shit about this kid, and now we're learning so much. Every single fucking chapter, it's new Haruka facts. When we get the big Asa and Denji reveal, fucking Haruka is holding his head. It's Haruka's time. This is the Haruka arc right now. We had fucking...
See, Asa Den was a red herring all along. It's actually Haruden.
This is actually Haruden. That's the real shit. You know what I mean? This is the yaoi we've all been waiting for. It's happening now. I mean, and it's been really interesting. It's been really interesting Haruka characterization. So if you lock into that and you just don't worry too much about Asa and Denji, damn, you're getting fucking fed.
Haruka is such an interesting character in this current storyline because, like, there's a lot of theories. Like, the characters themselves are theorizing how people turn into Chainsaw Men.
Yeah.
And, like, they think it's because if you like Chainsaw Man enough, you become one, or are you affiliated with the church, you become one. It's quite actually vague. And we have the biggest Chainsaw Man fan not become a Chainsaw Man.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's an interesting point.
It's a big question mark. Or will.
I always wondered, is it like maybe he just didn't make a contract with the Fire Devil? But then there was like, I think it was like a pseudo reveal that you don't even have to have a contract with the Fire Devil.
That's the thing. The adulterer, the public safety adulterer, was like, I don't understand how my wife became a Chainsaw Man thing because like, well, I can tell she wasn't really like outwardly a big fan of Chainsaw Man. I think she probably like secretly liked Chainsaw Man or something.
Right. But, like, there's the Fire Devil fact we know is that the more contractors it has, the stronger it gets. So maybe it's gotten powerful enough that it can turn people even without a contract now. You know, it made all those contracts and they went off and its power fucking spiked. And now it's just...
I mean, it is a fire, so it's got to spread.
Yeah, exactly. An interesting point. Lots of interesting points being made in this story. Okay, we're almost at an hour here. We have to do a little time skip of our own here, skipping over lots of stuff to talk about this chapter, but it was still a good discussion about lots of different things. We end with I'm very excited for the next chapter because Yoru is here. Yoru is winning. It's time for Yoru to win. She wins the ball kicking battle very easily, kicking him much harder than Katana Man did, of course. Yoru wins. All swords that rise against Yoru will fall, including in ball kicking fights. So
end with a poetic line though, so I don't know. Katana Man got it.
You know what? That's Asa's thing, all right? It's Yoru's time. She doesn't need his human form. It's time to wake up, Chainsaw Man. What do you guys think is gonna happen?
I actually got something written down here. It was like, I feel like there's a weird like parallel with like the Makima beating Chainsaw Man thing going on, where like for Makima, she wants to beat Chainsaw Man so that she can own him, basically. While for Yoru, her powers is like she has to own something to turn them into a weapon. And the entire arc of Denji arc is his entire sense of self kind of dying, but he's still Denji. He's not dying and becoming Pochita. He's just kind of dead inside.
Well,
we can see with the Fumiko introduction, he imagines himself not falling for her when she tried to touch his balls. So like he had a like pretty strong sense of self developing around that period.
She did touch his balls. But yes.
Yeah. She touched something there. Anyways. And before that, he didn't become a weapon because I think he had a pretty strong sense of self, even though it's a bit flimsy. And the entire arc with him is him losing that sense of self. So if Yoru beats him, I think she technically owns him.
I own you, maybe we can get it. The long theorized Super Chainsaw Man chainsaw. Perhaps we will achieve the moment. I don't know if that's gonna happen here though. So one thing about it is like all of this stuff that happens with Denji is like it all culminates in the moment where he decides he's going to be Chainsaw Man. His new dream is to be Chainsaw Man. He had his dream of a normal life, right? And that normal life dream, it starts with him getting chopped the fuck up and then put back together. And, for the first time, becoming the Chainsaw Devil, becoming a devil. But he's not like Chainsaw Man, the hero, until the end of part 1, right? That's when Chainsaw Man becomes the people's hero and defeats the Gun Devil and becomes the superhero of Tokyo, right?
Yeah.
And in part 2, that in the first chunk, Chainsaw Man, the hero, exists, but Denji is not Chainsaw Man, right? Denji is still living his life as Denji, the guy who was in public safety and knew Makima, knew power, knew Aki. He's still living with that past, and he's living in the dream that he had as a part of that story, which was to live a normal life. He's living a normal life with Nayuta. But, you still gotta have dreams, right? You still have dreams. What's the next dream? To be Chainsaw Man. And how does the next dream begin? He gets chopped up as Denji, and then he's getting put back together as Chainsaw Man. And now...
And people know Denji is Chainsaw Man.
Now, what if Pochita just wants to eat Denji's desires?
Yeah. Whoa.
That's a bit too much.
The crossover, baby.
Yeah. I can't spoil.
Let's.
This is the Chainsaw Man podcast, not other property podcast.
Yeah, but no one will even know what the fuck we're talking about because we're not even close to that in the anime. But, two great authors both have their finger on the pulse of consumerist society. Love that shit. But now everyone in the room knows that he's Chainsaw Man and Denji. And Katana Man was like the first guy, because Katana Man originally, he hates Denji, right? But he hates Denji because Denji is Chainsaw Man, and Chainsaw Man killed his grandpa, right? So Katana Man hates Denji because Denji is Chainsaw Man. He doesn't give a shit about Nayuta and like his dogs and that brand.
The Chainsaw Man part, to be honest.
Yeah.
He just hates Denji.
Yeah, he doesn't like this kid because he killed his grandpa and kicked him in the balls, which is all like Chainsaw Man stuff. And Yoru doesn't give a shit about Denji at all. She literally only is interested in him or would interact with him at all because he's Chainsaw Man. Haruka also obsessed with Chainsaw Man, not Denji. Like, who is this Denji guy? Even
Chainsaw Man.
Yeah, even Nail Fiend is like, I like this kid when he's sleeping. Look at Chainsaw Man. Chainsaw Man is so cute. And then Denji wakes up and he's like, go back to sleep.
Denji hasn't even said anything at that point. And he's like,
don't.
Yeah, I don't want.
Yeah, it's like, I liked this kid when he was just Chainsaw Man sleeping, not when he's fucking Denji being awake. You know, everyone here now, Denji is Chainsaw Man. Denji is Chainsaw Man now. He's been put back together as Chainsaw Man, not as Denji. Very interesting point of the story. So where do you think the story is going to go? Where are we going next chapter? What the fuck is going on? What do you think we're getting?
I don't know. I was wondering. So, one thing I was thinking about.
Great answer. I mean,
I was kind of hitting y'all with the fluoride stare that whole time. But I was thinking about it. Like part of me wonders. Like, and I actually want to ask you this. I'm kind of deflecting your question with another question. But like, do you think they're actually going to fight next chapter, or is this going to be somehow confused? Because like fighting would draw a lot of attention and whatnot. But
I don't think so. I think we will get. Yeah, I think we will get an argument and some discussion. That's my guess. But it would not be even. It's not even a little bit off the table that they could just start fighting, because this is.
Or they could get swatted by public safety.
Yeah, the public safety could be on their trail. I mean, maybe, one of the things that we see, if you're looking for that, like, how the hell did they get out of the facility type thing, is like, public safety seems to be trying to keep things low key, like all of this stuff, the wars, the devil outbreaks. We're not seeing it on the news. The government is working with the media to try and keep panic low, even though wars are breaking out, more fucking people turn into chainsaw devils every day. So maybe they're like, okay, like, someone fucking got Chainsaw Man. We can't.
I still think the prison
break send a bunch of people. Well, yeah, if we send a bunch of people to go to this like a giant facility, if we have a bunch of do a full military mobilization on our own facility, people are going to be like, okay, that's kind of weird, so we're just gonna suppress the news, and we'll handle it covertly later. We'll handle it when we can control the narrative better, which it is something that does happen. I mean, that's a classic government strategy. You just take the L and you clean it up after the fact and manipulate the narrative. So definitely something interesting there. Is public safety on the way? Will Yoshida kick in the door? A very real possibility. He's been the one they've had on cleanup duty for all the Asa
delivery driver Yoshida.
Yeah, they're giving him, they're making him do the dirty work, which I have my own theory about, but it's way too late in this episode to get started on that. I'm expecting Asa-den argument, right? Because, I think Asa can calm Yor down a little bit and be like, look, let me talk a little bit. And she's going to be like, Denji, we want to save you from being Chainsaw Man. And Denji's going to be like, but I want to be Chainsaw Man. That's the thing. That's a conflict I haven't seen people talking about. Is like,
Pochita as my co-pilot, we are cruising for pussy, is what he says.
It's true. It's literally... Okay, dude. Pretty much, though. I mean, in so many words, a matching Katana Man's poetics there.
I'm a bit of a poet myself.
Yeah, you fucking cooking right there. But in so many words, yeah, he decided, I want to be Chainsaw Man. That was the choice he made. And now here comes his potential ex-girlfriend being like, I am going to rip Chainsaw Man away from you. I'm going to kill Chainsaw Man, and then you, Denji, will be free to have your normal life, which is what you want to do, right? Right? But it's not. No. So we could be heading towards a real Asuden argument. They're going to be arguing. Asa's going to be like, why you want to be a fucking chainsaw monster? Nobody wants to have sex with a dude with the chainsaw on his head.
We just start yelling at Fami, like Fami's lying to her all the time.
Yeah, and you know, Fami's gonna be like, I didn't realize or some shit. But
oops.
we are in the point of the story where really anything can happen. Like, and it's sort of always been that way, but now we're really in it. Like, this is we are on the cliff face type pacing of Chainsaw Man, where shit's just going and you better hold the fuck on, because you have no idea when, you know, a darkness devil moment is coming around the corner, because they just show up. They just happen. You're just reading along. You're like, da 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 da. Suddenly, everybody's in hell and everyone's dying, and a hand comes down from the sky and sends everybody to another dimension. And you're like, I didn't see that coming. I didn't see the giant hands guy thing happening. That was weird. So who fucking knows? Maybe Fami's spaghetti is her powering up to summon another devil here, and she's gonna execute Order 66, and her ultimate plan will come together. No L's this time. You know, she's got the long game locked in, and it's time to go. Perhaps we'll see that. Perhaps we'll just see some Asuden emotion. Would love to see some of that. Maybe we'll get 6 more pages of Haruka characterization. You know what I mean? Why should we stop now? The last panel on this page is a Haruka panel. This is a Haruka arc, baby. It's Haruka's time.
Another arc, please.
Yeah. Who fucking knows? We are completely lost here. I can tell you. What do you think, viewers? What do you think is going to happen?
Comment down below.
Comment, subscribe. Like, subscribe,
comment, subscribe, hit that bell button.
Hit the bell so you can get notified every week when it releases around the same time. Yeah, thank you, my guests, for coming. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for this wonderful discussion. It was very interesting. We will be back next week because we got another chapter this Tuesday coming down the line. He's been Mr. Consistent lately. He's leveraging that less detailed art style to put out more chapters. So, you know, 6 of one, half dozen the other. You take it, and we will take it next week on the Public Safety Special Broadcast. Thanks for listening, and goodbye.
Goodbye.